Hi, my name is Alham Alahri and I am a future educator. I am part of a meaningless minority group and I refuse to believe that I can teach the class with our voices and our Englishes. Regardless of what others say, emergent bilingual students like me should be left alone until they fit in. It is a mistake to think that students have funds of knowledge that can be used in the classroom. I am convinced that teaching is not a reflection. I do not concede that critical thinking would help students transform their social world. I must tell my students that narratives about us, the speeches of Baldwin, stories of Lahiri, books from writers of different faiths, race, and cultures will be replaced by rusty books of knowledge, by white bearded men with glasses in my classroom. Just remember, keep your voice monotone. Do not actively engage in conversations about how Black literacies matter or address issues of identity, safety, and social justice through digital literacies. Look into Ferry's book on dialogue and problem posing. Now that is full of misconceptions. Instead, believe students are walking tin cans that can be filled up through rote memorization. You must not engage in a discussion through different modes of text and digital literacies. Students do not have the capacity to think beyond the already written. It is foolish to think that all students are different. Changing I am forced to learn to I want to learn, intrinsically motivating my students is something I am not capable of. Avoiding co-knowledge, giving them a good grade is more important than lifelong learning. That is my goal as a teacher. Watering their curiosity, creativity, and epiphanies, planting a seed of trust will never be propagated by me. Promoting linguistic racism, though, through formalities, is a must. Understanding ZPD, scaffolding them to grasp new reading strategies is less important than solely getting the lesson done. My mind tells me that all these matters because students will enter a world that limits them from free expression and does not welcome them until they surpass the standards that are prepared to not welcome them. That my students and I will dismantle and transform the barriers will never happen, though. Giving up on my students, I know that my students will remember me as a really bad teacher in the future. Unless I change. Unless I change in the future, my students will remember me as a trustworthy teacher. I know that giving up on my students will never happen, though. My students and I will dismantle and transform the barriers that does not welcome them until they surpass the standards that are prepared to not welcome them. All these matters because students will enter a world that limits them from free expression. And my mind tells me that solely getting the lesson done is less important than scaffolding them to grasp new reading strategies. Understanding ZPD is a must. Promoting linguistic racism through formalities, though, will never be propagated by me. Planting a seed of trust, watering their curiosity, creativities, epiphanies. That is my goal as a teacher. Lifelong learning is more important than giving them a good grade. Avoiding co-knowledge is something I am not capable of. Intrinsically motivating my students, changing I am forced to learn to I want to learn. All students are different. It is foolish to think that students do not have the capacity to think beyond the already written. Engage in a discussion through different modes of text and digital literacies. You must not believe students are walking tin cans that can be filled up through rote memorization. Now that is full of misconceptions. Instead, look into Ferry's book on dialogue and problem posing teaching. Address issues of identity, safety, and social justice through digital literacies. Or actively engage in conversations about Black literacies matter. Do not keep your voice monotone. Just remember, In my classroom, rusty books of knowledge by white bearded men with glasses will be replaced by books from writers of different faiths, race, and cultures. The speeches of Baldwin, stories of Lahiri, narratives about us. I must tell my students that critical thinking would help transform their social world. It is false to believe that teaching is not a reflection. I am convinced that students do have funds of knowledge that can be used in the classroom. It is a mistake to think that emergent bilingual students like me should be left alone till they fit in. Regardless of what others says, I can teach a class with our voices and our Englishes, and I refuse to believe that I am part of a meaningless minority group. I am a future educator, and my name is Alham Allahri.